What's up YouTube? Silver Dragons here, and in this video I'm going to talk about gold and silver and savings and why I think that with precious metals you actually have a chance. So I'm going to explain what I mean by that, and we'll dive into this a little bit deeper. So let's do it! Thank you so much for watching my video. I sincerely appreciate it. If you would like to learn more about investing in precious metals, or if you just want to watch awesome videos about gold and silver, then make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Alright, so what do I mean you actually have a chance with gold and silver? Well, literally what I mean is you have a chance of coming out of this whole ordeal just as good as you were when it started, if not better. So it's pretty obvious that we're in an economic crisis. The unemployment numbers here in the United States of America, absolutely astounding. They're hitting highs that we haven't seen in quite a long time. And of course, when people are unemployed, then typically they'll have less money to spend on products. And these companies that are making the products, well, they'll have less profits. And when companies have less profits, then they're forced to downsize or even go bankrupt. But a lot of times they'll lay off people, and then there's more people without jobs. And it's this vicious cycle. So we might be on the brink of a recession, if not a depression. And this is happening not only here in the United States of America, but also in the whole world. So what to do? And it's also crazy. The government is basically propping up the economy as much as they possibly can. They have created the stimulus checks, which we are going to talk about. I don't know what's going on in the rest of the world, but that's what they're trying to do here to help prop up the economy, help keep us spending money. There's also bailouts going on, and, well, we're going to talk about some of that stuff. But regardless, they've let the rates go to zero. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And they're really trying everything they possibly can to keep the economy going. Now, is it working? Well, maybe for now, but no one knows what's going to happen in the future. If you could predict exactly what was going to happen, well, you'd be a very wealthy person. So that being said, I want to talk about how gold and silver are actually a great place to store your money. They're a great savings account, and likely you should be able to see this through not only as good as you were before it started, but maybe even better off. All right, so let's first talk about the stimulus check. Now, for most of us that get it, it's going to be $1,200. And what are you going to do with your $1,200? Are you going to save it? Are you going to invest it? Right now might be a great time to invest in the stock market, right? We've seen some lows, so it might be a good time to buy in. Well, is it going to go lower? We don't know. No one knows. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. I say this from time to time. I'm not a wizard. I don't know what's going to happen. But what we can do is we can look at what's happened in the past, and we can look at what's happening now, and we can sort of make some predictions and some assumptions. Now, typically, gold and silver have been a great place to store money, not only because they're a hedge against inflation, but because they're looked at as safe haven assets. So with your $1,200, whether you're going to try and put that into the stock market, whether you're going to save it, whether you're going to spend it, there's a lot of different options. But I think one of the things you should strongly consider are precious metals. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. So let's go under the assumption that you don't need to spend the $1,200 on groceries or clothes or essential supplies. And let's go with the assumption that you're going to try and save it or invest it. Now, if you decide to buy individual stocks, well, it's possible those companies could go bankrupt. You could lose that money. If you're going to try and put it into the stock market and buy like the S&P 500, for example, or if you're going to try and buy ETFs or whatever you're going to do, it's possible it could go up or it could go down. Now, typically, like I said, gold and silver have been a very safe place to store your money. But let's say you're not going to invest it. Let's say you just want to save it. You could put it in a savings account in a bank. Now, I think if you want to save your money, probably the worst place you could put it would be in a savings account in a bank. And I'm going to tell you why. So, in our history here in the United States of America, there has been a time where the bank has gone on a holiday. Now, probably the most, known holiday that the banks went on was when FDR came into office. Now, of course, the Great Recession was just, taking a turn. Now, FDR came into office, and on his first full day, he declared a banking holiday. So what does that mean? Well, it meant that you couldn't take any money out of a bank, and you couldn't put any money into a bank. So all of your accounts would have been frozen. Now, this was in 1933, and the reason the government did this was so they could change the laws that had to do with banking, try and make everything safer, and basically help people feel more comfortable about the banks, so they would put their money back in. Now, these are called silver certificates. The reason I brought them out was actually because of the years. This one here is series 1935, and this is what the back looks like. Kind of cool. So some old U.S. currency. But this one would have been before 1933. This is series 1928, says down there. Check out the back of this one. Pretty cool, huh? These are sweet. Now, I don't know a lot about these, but I do know that they are cool and they are part of history. But check it out. Check out what it says at the bottom. $1 silver payable to the bearer on demand. Well, you can't exchange this for a silver dollar anymore. What kind of a silver dollar could you have exchanged this for? Something like a Morgan dollar. Isn't that pretty sweet? Obviously, we know Morgan dollars are worth much more than a dollar now. These are worth about, $12 or $13 if you go off the spot price, but because there is a premium on these, they're worth quite a bit more. But I digress. So there was a banking holiday. You couldn't take money out of the bank. So if you had money in a savings account and you needed to use it, you would not be able to access it. So I think putting your money in a savings account in the bank, that's a terrible idea. Now, what's a little bit better of an idea? Well, you could just have cash. So you could cash it out and take those $1,200. Now, they could be in $100 bills or $20 bills or whatever. And you can stuff them under your mattress and you have them there for a rainy day. If you need them, you can grab them, you can pull them out, have them in your hand, right? But the problem with this is there's massive inflation that's probably going on right now. So the government is creating trillions of dollars, as we all know, for the stimulus and probable bailouts and all things like that. And so it's no doubt that when the government creates more currency, the value of the currency goes down. And so anyone who's caught holding cash is actually going to be losing value. You're losing purchasing power if you have cash in your hand, whether it's physical cash or just numbers on a computer screen in your savings account. Either way, you're losing money. Now, you might be saying, well, hey, hold on. If I have my money in a savings account, well, I'm actually getting a little bit percentage, right, to have it in there. No, that's not the case right now. The rates went to 0. So that means if you put $1,200 in your savings account, well, if they don't change the rates, in a year from now, you're going to have, guess what, $1,200. And with inflation, you're going to lose a lot of purchasing power. Okay, so where do gold and silver come in? Now, this is my favorite option for actually saving your money. You can purchase physical bullion. I'm not talking about getting SLV or GLD, which are exchange traded funds, basically an IOU that says, yes, you have silver or you have gold. No, you can't actually exchange those for silver or gold unless you have a massive amount of shares. And even then, it can be very tricky and hard to take physical delivery. So a better option, in my mind, is just to buy the actual stuff. And guess what? You can hold it in your hands. How cool is that? So if you have gold, you can pick it up and you can hold it. You can feel the weight and you know that you own it. So that's one of the sayings that stackers use. If you can hold it, well, I guess the actual saying is, if you can't hold it, you don't own it. But I guess the other part of it would be, if you can hold it, then you do own it. But either way, it's really cool to own gold and silver. They're beautiful. But the great thing about gold and silver is that typically when stuff is awry, when the markets are going crazy, when there's a lot of volatility, when we're in a recession or even a depression, when there's massive inflation, these will hold their value. Isn't that great? Now, I actually made a video talking about the value of silver and how we know that it holds its value, especially over a long period of time. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link to it up in the corner as well as in the description. I highly recommend you go check it out. But I also wanted to say that if you're thinking about buying gold or silver, my personal opinion is that they're both great to own. Now, I know some people are much more bullish on silver because the gold to silver ratio is extremely wide right now, which it is. It's at basically all-time highs, which means silver is undervalued compared to gold, or at least in the sense that the ratio is wide. So is silver actually undervalued compared to gold? Well, I think so. And for that reason, I think silver is a little bit better of a buy. However, if I was going to take my $1,200 and put it into silver or gold, I think they're both great options. Now, one other thing I did want to mention is that right now, the premiums are very high on silver and gold, which means they cost quite a bit over the spot price. So the spot price is essentially the paper price for gold and silver, right? But the actual physical bullion price is much higher right now. However, I think you're still better off putting your money into gold and silver in the long run, and you're probably going to come out of this thing just as good as you were when it started. If not, you might even come out ahead, because we have seen that during recession, there can be a huge upside to owning gold and silver. They could go up in value quite a bit because a lot of people know that this is a safe place to put your money in, and the demand can get extremely high for the precious metals. So it is possible we could see them go up in value even more than they are now, and you could actually maybe even make some money. So that's pretty cool, huh? Well, anyway, if you had any thoughts or any comments at all, please leave them down below. I'd love to get your opinions on it. I do want to say a massive thank you so much for watching my video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Silver Dragons out.